Hello guys, welcome to another video on the GCE YouTube channel. Today we continue with the correction of part GCE questions, and in this video we'll be doing the correction of the Cameroon GCE Ordinary Level Paper 1 of the year 2026. So let's begin. Question 1. Subtracting 17 from 30 gives. Subtracting 17 from 30, in other words, removing 17 from 30, which is the same as 30 minus 17, give us 13, which is A for question 1. Question 2. The prime factors of 12 are. To find the prime factors of 12, you first of all need to find all the factors of 12. Now from those factors of 12, you select the numbers which are prime numbers. The factors of 12 include 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. And from these numbers, 2 and 3 are the only prime factors of 12. So for question 2, our answer is D, 2 and 3. Question 3. The absolute value of negative 3 plus 7 is. The absolute value of any integer is the positive version of that integer. Take for example the integers 3 and minus 3. The absolute value of 3 is 3 because 3 is already positive, while the absolute value of minus 3 is 3 because you want to use a positive number. So for question 3, the absolute value of minus 3 plus 7 is, we first of all did the computation, minus 3 plus 7 is equal to 4, and the absolute value of 4 is 4, which is B for question 3. Question 4. A woman spent 1/4 of her salary on rents and 1/5 on food. The fraction spent on both items is. The fraction spent on both items is a sum of the fraction she spent on rents and food, which is 1/4 plus 1/5. 1/4 plus 1/5 is equal to 9 on 20, which is D for question 4. Question 5. Given that 0.0056 is equal to 5.6 times 10 raised to the m, the value of m is. Now what we have done here is that we have written 0.0056 in the standard form. So to find the value of m, we need to find how many times we have to send this decimal point behind to get 5.6. Now looking at this, we send the decimal point 1 time, 2 times, 3 times behind to have 5.6. Since we are sending the decimal point behind, the number becomes negative. So that's going to give us 5.6 times 10 raised to the power negative 3. So the value of m is equal to negative 3, which is C. If we had sent the decimal point in front, the value of m was supposed to be positive, but since it's behind, it is negative. Question 6. The number 5.04678 expressed to 3 significant figures gives. Now when it comes to significant figures, we are simply talking about the degree of precision of a certain measurement. And when it comes to significant figures, we have to understand that any leading zero, that's any zero before a non-zero number, is considered insignificant. For example, 005, the zeros in front of 5 are considered insignificant because they tell nothing about the precision of the measurement. Now, any zero after a number is considered significant. For example, 5,000. The 3 zeros behind 5,000 are considered significant. And now the zeros in between two non-zero numbers are considered significant. For example, 5,005. The 2 zeros between 5 and 5 are considered significant. Now in this case, writing this number in 3 significant figures, we have 5 is our first significant figure, 0 is our next significant figure, and 4 is our third significant figure. The reason why this 0 is significant is because it is between two non-zero numbers, which are 5 and 4. Now notice that after 4 we have 6, which is greater than 5. And when it comes to decimal, when the number after a decimal point is greater than 5, we can round the number up. So rounding this up, we have 5.05, which is A for question 6. Question 7. On a certain day, the temperature drops by 0.5 degrees every hour. Given that at 8 a.m., the temperature is 34.8 degrees Celsius, the temperature at 10 a.m. in degrees Celsius is. Now, the first thing we know is that the temperature drops by 0.5 degrees every hour. The second thing we know is that at 8 a.m., the temperature is 34.8 degrees. Now, what you are trying to calculate is the temperature change from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We know that from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. is a difference of 2 hours. And now, since the temperature dropped by 0.5 degrees every hour, means in 2 hours the temperature must have dropped 0.5 degrees times 2, which is equal to 1 degree Celsius temperature drop. That means from the temperature at 8 am, which is 34.8 degrees, minus a 1 degree temperature drop, we have 34.8 degrees Celsius minus 1 degree Celsius, which gives us 33.8 degrees Celsius, which is B for question 7. Question 8. An article is sold at 7,200 francs CFA, making a profit of 20% on the cost price. The actual cost price in francs CFA is. Now, we know that the selling price of this article is equal to 7,200 francs CFA. And that 7,200 francs CFA is equal to the actual cost price of the good plus 20% of that cost price in profit. That means 7,200 francs CFA is equal to 120% of the cost price. Or if you write in decimal terms, 7,200 francs CFA is equal to 1.2 times the cost price of the good. That means the actual cost price of this good is equal to 7,200 francs CFA divided by 1.2 to get the actual cost price of the good. 7,200 divided by 1.2 is equal to 6,000. So our answer for question 8 is B. Question 9. Dividing $480 in the ratio 1:2 gives. To divide this sum in the ratio 1:2, we start by finding the sum of this ratio. The sum of the ratio is 1 plus 2, which is 3. Now dividing 480 in the first ratio, that is 1, we have 1 all over the sum of ratio, which is 3 times 480, which gives us 160. Now in the second ratio, which is 2, we have 2 all over 3 times 480, which is equal to 320. So for question 9, our answer is A. 160 is to 320. Question 10. The scale of a map is 1:25,000. The distance between two towns on the map is 14 centimeters. The actual distance between the two towns in kilometers is. So the first things first, when we talk of the scale of this map being 1:25,000, we mean that, for example, 1 centimeter on this map is equal to 25,000 centimeters in reality. Now, we have 14 centimeters on the map. That implies the actual distance in real life is equal to 14 centimeters times 25,000, which gives us 350,000 centimeters. Now let's take note that the question asks for the distance in kilometers. So you have to convert 350,000 centimeters to kilometers. To convert from centimeters to kilometers, we divide by 100,000. So 350,000 divided by 100,000 is equal to 3.5 kilometers, which is C for question 10. Question 11. The set F, which is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, is called. We have a finite set. A finite set is a set which has an n. For example, a set of months of the year, a set of days of the week, that has an n. We know that for the days of the week, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It ends there. The next, we have a null set. A null set is a set that does not have an element. For example, a set of months of the year which have 33 days in them. That is a null set because there's no element in them. The next, C, we have an infinite set. An infinite set is a set that does not have an end. For example, the set of all negative and positive integers. That does not have an end because numbers increase up to infinity. And D, we have a universal set. A universal set is a set that contains all the elements in the group of data we are collecting. Now looking at question 11, 1, 2, 3, 4 continuing is an infinite set because numbers do not have an end. So 11, we have C. Question 12, the cardinality of set A, which is equal to 1, 2, 6, 8. The cardinality of a set is equal to the number of elements in that set. The number of elements in set A is equal to 1, 2, 3. So the cardinality of A is 3, which is B. Question 13. Given two sets M and N, where M is equal to 1, 3, 5, 6, and N is equal to 3, 4, 5, then M intersection N is equal to M intersection N talks about the elements which are found in both M and N. Now looking at this, we have 1 in M, but there is no 1 in N, so it's not part. We have 3 in M and we have 3 in N, so 3 is part of this intersection. And finally, we have 5 in M and we have 5 in N, which is part of the intersection. We have 6 in M, no 6 in N, so it's not part. We have 4 in N, no 4 in M, so it's not part. So the intersection of M and N is equal to 3 and 5, which is D for question 13. Question 14. In logic, P or Q is read as. When you say P or Q in logic, we are simply saying that if P is true, then the expression is true. If Q is true, then the expression is true. And if P and Q are true, then the expression is true. In basic terms, that is, if either P or Q are true, then the expression is true. Now looking at our options, we have either P or Q or both as our right answer for question 14. Question 15. A mapping A mapped to B is such that X maps to 2X. The range of -1, 0, 1, 2 is. Now this mapping maps X to 2X. That means each element is multiplied by 2 to find the range. So mapping that, we have -1 times 2 is equal to -2, 0 times 2 is equal to 0, 1 times 2 is equal to 2, 2 times 2 is equal to 4. That gives us our answer as C for question. Question 16. Given the function g defined on R, the set of real numbers as g of x is equal to -2x plus 1, then g of 2 is equal to find g of 2, we are simply going to replace x by 2 everywhere in g of x. So looking at this, we have -2, replace x by 2 plus 1. -2 times 2 is equal to -4. -4 plus 1 is equal to -3. So for question 16, our answer is B. Question 17. Given set A with element A and B with element 2 and 3, the Cartesian product of A cos B is equal to. The Cartesian product is equal to the set of every element mapped to every other element in the different set. For this set, the Cartesian product of A with element A and B with element 2 and 3 is equal to A and 2, comma A and 3, which is equal to B. A and 2, A and 3. Question 18. Inverse of g of x, which is equal to x plus 2 and 3 is. To find the inverse of a function, we start by equating the function to an unknown. Let's say let g of x be equal to an unknown, which is y. Now we know that g of x is equal to x plus 2 all over 3. Now using the equation we wrote above here, we are going to have y is equal to 2x plus 2 all over 3. Now from here, our goal is to make x the subject of the equation. X the subject of the equation, we can start by cross multiplying. That's going to give us 3y is equal to x plus 2. Now subtracting 2 from both sides, we are going to have 3y minus 2 is equal to x. From here now, we now substitute the y by x to have g inverse of x. Putting y with x, we have 3. In the place of y, we put x minus 2. This is g prime or g inverse of x. Now looking at our options, we have 3x minus 2, which is B for question 18. Question 19. The sum of the exterior angles of a polygon is, the answer is A, 360 degrees. Question 20. The triangle with 3 equal sides is, the triangle with 3 equal sides is called an equilateral triangle, which is C. For the other options, we have A, an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle is a triangle which has 2 sides which are equal and 1 side which is different. Additionally, 2 angles will be the same. Then next, we have a scalene triangle. This is a triangle where all 3 sides are of different lengths. Thus, no side has the same length as another. And D, a right angle triangle. This is a triangle which has a right angle in it. So for question 20, our answer is C, equilateral. Question 21. The number of lines of symmetry in a kite is. When we talk of lines of symmetry, we are talking of the line which can divide a figure into equal halves. For a kite, it has only one line of symmetry, that's something like this. So for question 21, our answer is A, 1. Question 22. A chord subtends two angles, 20 degrees and y, on the circumference of a circle of the same segment in center O. The value of y is the angle subtended by a chord in the same segment on the circumference of a circle are equal. So 20 degrees and y are equal. So for question 22, our answer is D, 20 degrees. Question 23. Figure 1 represents the net of A. When we talk about the net of a figure, we are simply talking about like the ways through which we can unfold that figure to represent a flat two-dimensional shape. This is an unfolded version of a cone, which is A. Question 24. The number of vertices of a cuboid is Question 24. The number of vertices of a cuboid is a vertex refers to the point at which 3 or more edges meet. On a cuboid, we have 8 vertices. So, question 24, we have B as our option. Question 25. The region enclosed by a chord and an arc of a circle is called, this is called B, a segment. For the other options, we have a sector. A sector is a region in a circle bounded by 2 radii and an arc between them. For option D, we have a secant. A secant is a line that cuts a circle at 2 points. So for question 25, we have B, a segment, as our option. Question 26. The perimeter of a rectangle of length 8 cm and width 6 cm is, the perimeter of a rectangle is the distance around the rectangle, and now we know that a rectangle has 2 equal sides which are the lengths and 2 equal sides which are the width. So the perimeter of a rectangle is equal to the length plus the width plus the length plus the width, or 2 times the length plus the width. Now the length plus the width is 6 times 8, which is equal to 14. 2 times 14 is equal to 28. So our answer is C for question 26. Question 27. The area of a right angled triangle with base 5 cm and height 4 cm is, the area of a triangle is equal to half into the base times the height. The base times the height is equal to 5 times 4, which is equal to 20. Half of 20 is equal to 10 cm squared, which is B for question 27. Question 28. The volume of a rectangular box of size 6 cm by 4 cm by 4 cm is, the volume of this box is equal to the length times the width times the height, which is equal to 6 cm times 4 cm times 4 cm, which is equal to A, 96 cm cubed. Question 29. The point of intersection of the x-axis and the y-axis on the Cartesian plane is called, by that they are talking of this point where the x and the y-axis meet, and this point is called the origin, which is A. For the other options, you have B, an axis. An axis is a reference line through which you use to locate points on a graph. We have the x and the y-axis, and sometimes you get of the z-axis. The next option, C, we have intercepts. Intercepts are points where a graph cuts an axis. The next option, T, we have coordinates. Coordinates are address points on a graph. So for question 29, A is our answer. Question 30. The gradient of the line with equation y is equal to 4x minus 3 is, to find or to know the gradient of this line, we simply need to know how the equation of a line looks like in the first place. Now, the equation of a line is in the form y is equal to mx plus c, where m is equal to the gradient and c is equal to the y-intercept, that is the point where the graph cuts the y-axis. Now, looking at these two equations and comparing them, we find out that the m in this other equation is equal to 4. That means the gradient of this line is equal to 4, which is A for question 30. Question 31. The coordinates of the midpoint of the line segments joining the points minus 3, 3 and 3, 7 is, Now the coordinate of the midpoint of 2 points is given by this, that the midpoint is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now from the points we have, take note that points are usually written in the form x, comma, y. Now looking at these points, you find out that our x1 is equal to minus 1. We substitute that here. Our x1 is equal to minus 1. Our x2 is equal to 3. We substitute here. Our y1 is equal to 3. And our y2 is equal to 7. So now doing the calculations, we have minus 1 plus 3 is equal to 2 divided by 2. And 3 plus 7 is equal to 10 divided by 2. Now doing the dividing, we have the point which is equal to 2 divided by 2 is 1, comma, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the coordinate of the midpoint is 1, comma, 5. And looking at our options, we have C for question 31. Question 32. The coefficient of x in the expression 2x squared plus 6x plus 4 is. The coefficient of x is talking about the number which is in front of the x term. Like for example, the coefficient of the x squared term is 2 and the coefficient of the x term is 6. So for question 32 is T, our answer. Question 33. The value of the expression 2y minus 6 when y is equal to 1 is. When y is equal to 1, we substitute 1 wherever we find y. So that is 2 times 1 minus 6. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 6 is minus 4, which is A for question 33. Question 34. Given that 5x is less than or equal to minus 10, the solution of x that satisfies the inequality is. Alright, so we have it that 5x is less than or equal to minus 10. We can proceed by isolating x, and to do that we can divide all through by 5. 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1, so that's going to give us x is less than or equal to minus 10 divided by 5 is minus 2. So this x less than or equal to minus 2 satisfies this inequality. Now looking at the option, x less than or equal to minus 2 is D. Question 35. Factorizing x squared minus 2 squared gives. To do this, we simply know the formula for the difference of two squares. Note that x squared is a square minus 2 squared, which is another square. This is the difference of two squares. And the formula for the difference of two squares, which is a squared minus b squared, is equal to a minus b times a plus b. So for x squared minus 2 squared, that's x squared minus 2 squared, we have a, which is x minus 2 into x plus 2. Comparing our answers, we have x minus 2 into x plus 2, which is A for question 35. Question 36. Simplifying 3 raised to the power 2 times 3 raised to the power 5 gives. When you are multiplying indices with the same basis, we simply add the powers. So this is going to give us 3 raised to the power 2 plus 5. 2 plus 5 is equal to 7, which is 3 raised to the power 7, option A. 2 plus 5 is equal to 7, so our answer is 3 raised to the power 7, which is option A for question 36. Question 37. The next term in the sequence 22, 17, 12, 7 is. From the sequence, we notice that from 22 to 17 they subtracted 5. From 17 to 12 they subtracted 5. From 12 to 7 they subtracted 5. So for the next term we have 7 minus 5, which is going to give us 2. That is B as option 37. Question 38. The number of arcs in the network in figure 2 is. Arcs talk about lines that connect 2 points in a figure. Now looking at this figure, we have this line connecting these 2 points, this line connecting these 2 points, this line connecting these 2 points, and finally this curved line connecting these 2 points. That gives us a total of 4 arcs, which is C for question 38. Question 39. The value of tan 45 degrees is. Now earlier in this channel I posted a video which explained how you could find the trigonometric value of every standard angle without ever needing a calculator. If you have not watched the video, this is the video here. You can search on the channel and watch it. It's very helpful. And using that same method, we can find out that tan 45 is equal to the square root of 2 divided by the square root of 2, which is equal to 1. And looking at the options, we have A1 as our answer. Question 40. In a right angle triangle with hypotenuse 10 units, the other sides are 6 units and x. The value of x is. Now a right angle triangle is something like this. And on the right angle triangle, this is the hypotenuse. Let's call it h. And this side here, let's call it side A. And the side below, let's call it side B. Now, according to Pythagoras' theorem, you have it that the square of the hypotenuse, that is h squared, is equal to the sum of the square of the both sides, that is a squared plus b squared. Now, from the equation, we had that the hypotenuse is equal to 10 units and the other sides are 6 units and x. So we have that 10 squared is equal to, let's call the side A 6, so we have 6 squared plus x squared. Now solving this, 10 squared is equal to 100 is equal to 6 squared is 36 plus x squared. Now we want to isolate x, so we can subtract 36 on both sides. 100 minus 36 is equal to 64 is equal to x squared. Now taking the square root of both sides, we have x is equal to the square root of 64 is equal to 8. So that is the value of x. Now looking at our options, we have 8 units, which is D for question 40. Question 41. Given that the angle of elevation of B from A is 50 degrees, the angle of depression of A from B is. So to represent that in a diagram, let's create a point A. Let's put it here. That's going to be point A, and point B will go up here. This is our point B. Now when you see the angle of elevation from point A to point B, that is talking about the angle from a horizontal line through which we have to look up to see point B. Let's create a horizontal line here. This is a horizontal line here. And since they said the angle of elevation of B from A is equal to 45 degrees, that means this angle here from A to which you have to look up to B is equal to 50 degrees. And now they're asking you for the angle of depression from B to point A. The angle of depression is like the same angle to which you have to stand from B and look down to see A. Now if that is B, this is the horizontal line here, and the angle of depression is talking about this angle here. Now if you do it like this, you know in maths where they taught us that this angle is the same as this angle, which is the same as this angle, and all that, we find out that 50 degrees which is here is the same as the 50 degrees which is here. So the angle of elevation from point A to B is the same as the angle of depression from B to A. So for angle of depression, we have 50 degrees, which is A for question 41. Question 42. The vector A is equal to 3i minus j. The vector 2a is, now multiplying a vector by a scalar, we simply multiply each component of the vector by that scalar. That is, we are multiplying 3 by 2 and j by 2. That gives us 3 times 2 is equal to 6i minus 2 times 1 is equal to 2j. That is 6i minus 2j, which is B for question 42. Question 43. The magnitude of the vector 3, 0 is, this 3 is the x component, 0 is the y component, or 3 is the I component, 0 is the j component. Now the magnitude of the vector A is equal to the square root of the square of the x component plus the square root of the square plus of the y component, squared plus plus y squared. Now looking at our vector, we had the x as 3, the y as 0. So we do that. This is equal to the square root of x is 3 and y is 0. 3 squared plus 0 squared is equal to the square root of 9. 3 squared is equal to 9, 0 squared is equal to 0. So we have the square root of 9. The square root of 9 is equal to 3. That is the magnitude of the vector. Now looking at our options, we have 3, which is C for question 43. Question 44. The direction in degrees of the vector minus I plus j in degrees is... Now the direction of the vector is talking about the angle that vector makes with the positive x-axis. Now the direction of a vector is given with the formula tan x is equal to y all over x, where y represents the coefficient of the j term and x represents the coefficient of the I term. Our vector as minus I plus j, that means the coefficient of the j term is equal to 1, or our y is equal to 1, and the coefficient of the x of the I term is equal to minus 1, that is our x is equal to minus 1. Now substituting in the formula, I have y as 1 and we have x as minus 1. So we have that tan x is equal to minus 1. That means x is equal to tan inverse of minus 1. Tan inverse of minus 1 is equal to minus 45 degrees. Now some people might go and try to take option A, minus 45 degrees, as your answer, but unfortunately that will be very wrong because of the way this vector is located. Let's try to represent a Cartesian plane here, which is something like this: our y-axis and our x-axis. So you have this as our y-axis and this as our x-axis. Now on the Cartesian plane, we have what we call the positive x-axis, that is the x-axis on which every value on it is positive, and it is this side. And we have our positive y-axis, which is this side. Then we have our negative x-axis, which is this side, and our negative y-axis, which is this side. Now on the Cartesian plane, we have what we call quadrants. Our quadrant goes like this. This is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and finally this is the fourth quadrant. Now the vector I was minus I plus j. That means the x component is negative and the y component is positive. Where the x component is negative and the y component is positive is in the second quadrant, which is here. Now the reason why I said negative 45 was wrong was because remember I said that the direction of a vector is the angle that vector makes with the positive x-axis. That is this positive x-axis. Negative 45 degrees does not represent the actual angle that vector makes with the positive x-axis. It just represents the angle that vector makes with the closest x-axis, which is this. We have our negative 45 degrees here. Now to find the actual value that vector makes with the positive x-axis, we have to add 180 degrees to the value we had. That's our 180 degrees plus the x that we had. Now doing that here, we had x as minus 45 degrees, so the actual value, that's the actual direction, let's call it d, is equal to 180 plus minus 45. That is 180 minus 45 degrees, which is equal to 135 degrees. This is the actual direction of the vector minus I plus j. Now looking at our options, we have 135 degrees as B for question 44. Question 45. The order of the matrix this is. The order of a matrix is in the format row times columns. These are the rows here and these are the columns. We have 2 rows and we have 3 columns. So that is 2 times 3, which is B. Question 46. The transpose of the matrix 2, 1, minus 3, 5 is. To find the transpose of the matrix, you simply interchange the rows by the columns. That is, the rows become the columns and the columns become the rows. So let's call our matrix M, which is equal to this. M transpose, which is denoted by M with a T on top, is equal to, we said we interchange the rows with the columns. So this row 2, 1 becomes a column 2, 1 this way. And the column minus 3, 5 becomes a, then the column minus 3, 5 becomes a row minus 3, 5. This is the transpose. So we have our option as B for question 46. Question 47. The mode of the score 2, 6, 5, 6, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5 is. The mode of a collection of data is talking about the value which appears the highest number of times in that collection. Now looking at this, we find out that 6 has the highest occurrence. So 6 is the mode of the score. So for question 47 is D. Question 48. The median of the score 12, 13, 16, 19, 22, 26, 28 is. The median is talking about the value in the middle of the collection of data after you have arranged it in ascending or descending order. Looking at this, it has already been arranged in ascending order, so we don't need to do any arrangement. We just have to find the middle value. Now counting them, we start, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. So the value in the middle is going to be the 4th digit. We are counting the first, second, third, and fourth, which is 19. 19 is in the middle because we have 3 digits before and 3 digits after. So this is the middle digit, and it is the median, which is A. Question 49. The range of the scores, this is. The range of a score is equal to the highest value minus the lowest value. The highest value is 9, the lowest value is 2. 9 minus 2 is equal to 7, which is C for question 49. And finally, question 50. The probability of rolling a fair die once and scoring 2 is. To find the probability of rolling a fair die, a die has 6 sides, and each of these sides has distinct values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we are being asked the probability that we have 2 when you roll the dice. Now 2 is only one side out of 6 sides, so the probability of having 2 is equal to 1 out of all the 6 probabilities, because 2 is only one time out of all the other 6 sides. So that's our probability, which is B for question 50. We have come to the end of this episode. Thank you all for watching to the end. If you did enjoy or learn anything new, please consider liking and subscribing to the GC4 YouTube channel. Additionally, the question paper will be posted on the GC4 website for anyone to download for free. The answer sheet will be posted too, but only if this video hits 100 likes. So make it happen. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.